Talk a little Tiger football with Mike Kelly coming up here in a bit. But first, we need to check in with the diva of Dish. No longer the diva of Dish. She's now the diva of the editorial page board. She sits on the editorial page board at the stltoday.com and our hometown newspaper. Good morning, Deb Peterson.
Good morning, McGraw Millhaven. I'm glad to hear you use the word diva. I haven't heard that in a while.
Yeah, no. I try and disparage all my guests as much as possible.
Since you're still living downtown waiting for your Cottleville manse to be built, you could still take me to lunch one day. Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah, I guess I could, but I'm living out in Westport now. I sold my condo. I sold it in a day.
I obviously cannot keep up with your peripatetic movement around the city.
I am sort of a nomad. Next, I'm going to be hanging out at Larry Rice's place. So I got no home. Let's talk about this Maryville rape case with Daisy Coleman. Kudos to the Kansas City Star for the investigation, and then kudos to you guys for re-airing it or republicizing it, because I never would have seen it unless you guys put it out there. It's a national story now.
It's very interesting. Actually, KCUR, the public radio station in Kansas City, wrote about it in July, or aired a show about it. First reference that I was able to find was theirs. Okay. Then the Star did a 7-month investigation, and they wrote about it on Sunday, which really opened the case up. By Monday, it was international. I mean, the response was amazing, and people... So the case involves a 14-year-old girl. This is the fourth one that I could find in the past about 2 years that have occurred in the U.S. and Canada, in which young men, were alleged to have raped young women after they got them drunk, and then perhaps were not prosecuted fully, or something happened that brought it to the attention of the public, in that the boys were sort of excused for the behavior. In each of the cases, videos were circulated. So in the case of Daisy Coleman, that's what happened. She was 14. She and a 13-year-old friend were at her house. They were drinking some alcohol they had stolen or hidden away, taken from the parents. I don't really know how they got it. They were drinking. This young man who was a senior in high school, she was a freshman, he'd already kind of taken an interest in her. They were texting. He said he'd come pick her up. She and her friend snuck out. Her friend was 13, if I hadn't said that already. They went to his house, where they allegedly were given more to drink. Daisy, said she didn't know what was happening, passed out, sort of, and the 13-year-old was taken into another room by a 15-year-old boy who had sex with her, and then one of the two 17-year-olds allegedly raped Daisy, and the other one videotaped it. Okay, right. Phone videoed it. So all of this happens. The boys, the very next day, the mom finds Daisy at her door, left there for 3 or 4 hours in 22 degrees weather with a T-shirt and sweatpants on. These boys had left her there. She's almost, she's sick. Things are not good. So the police are called the next day. They build a case. 2 months later, the boy is charged with, I forgot exactly what the charges are.
He's brought in, he's charged, and the charges are dropped.
2 months later, the charges are dropped. The sheriff, who said at the time that he thought he had a really strong case, he felt that he was sure there would be convictions, so the case is dropped. Well, the allegation is that the kid's grandfather, who had been a state rep, was very powerful, is powerful in Nottoway County, which is where Maryville is, and that there were political favors. So the prosecutor there did have a relationship. His family had a relationship with the young man's family, and he dropped the charges. So it looks bad, allegations of political influence. He should have recused himself from the beginning.
All of that is true. What I think throws it over the top is that the family has to move because they're being ostracized for how dare you cause all these problems in town.
And the mom, the dad was a doctor. He died in a car accident a year or so before this.
Right.
They had moved out from a small town 40 miles away into Maryville to sort of, have a fresh start. The mom is a veterinarian. And, she wanted a fresh start. She moves into this town where they're outsiders. So after all of this happens, they become the victims. They're blamed for having accused this young man. The girl is treated terribly. The mom is fired from her job as a veterinarian. So they pack up, they leave town, and their house in Maryville at some point is burned down. They're no longer living in it. They're trying to sell it. It's burned to the ground. There's still no knowledge of what happened there. So this family has been through, horror. It's horrible. So that's the story. And it's interesting. It's very sad. The young woman, Daisy, who was a student on the cheerleading squad, now she's tried suicide twice. She's extremely, she's really having a lot of trouble coping.
How about the prosecutor saying, I didn't pursue the case because the Colemans wouldn't help me out? The Colemans are like, what are you talking about? We wanted to bring charges from day one.
Yeah. And so, they did at some point, the mom did say she would not be deposed because they had dropped the felony charge. There was only a misdemeanor charge remaining, and she did not want her daughter to go through all that for a misdemeanor charge. So there's a little bit of, the prosecutor's making it look like they backed off, but they're saying they only backed off because he'd already dropped the charges, serious charges. So all of this, under a special prosecutor, hopefully this will be cleared up and there will be no more of that sort of thing. Now, it's also, there's, pressure's going to, that's part of the whole thing, is the internet really brought attention to this. So maybe 5 years ago, something like this in a place like Nottoway County, which is, northwest Missouri, who would have paid attention?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody really. So now the internet blows up. There's a group called Anonymous, which is an internet activist group, and they threaten to bring pressure on the, on all of the computer services of the town. Pardon me?
Yeah, no, they were threatening to protest and everything else, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it is, and, you just can't hide bad actions any longer. So I find it fascinating on so many levels, just the idea that this public pressure. So within a day, the prosecutor on Thursday, he did exactly what I and many others said he should do, which was step away from the case, ask for a special prosecutor, and see what happens. So now that's what's happening, and I called the judge yesterday, and the judge is not available. So the judge who has to appoint the special prosecutor. However, the judge is a Democrat, and that's a good thing in this circumstance because everybody else in the case has been a Republican, so at least there will no longer be this allegation of political, favoritism, we hope.
It's an interesting case. We'll follow it. Deb, thanks for checking in. Have a good weekend.
We're already done?
Lunch is on me next time I see you.
Sure. Yeah, right. I won't wait. Bye.
Deb Peterson sits on the editorial page of the local hometown newspaper, St. Louis Post-Dispatch. We do need more time with Deb. We're squeezing her out here.